It's Dew Time with Pastor Steph.
Good morning, good morning, good morning. Rise and shine. You're on with this Dew Time with Pastor Steph. How are you this morning? That's what I like to hear. That's what I like to hear. For this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. So, where were you yesterday? Yesterday was Shaking the Monday Morning Blues with the Dew Time crew. And we talked about ways that indicate whether you're compassionate or not. Now, do you consider yourself compassionate? Okay, we're going to go through the test. They say you see other people's pain as inconvenience. And yeah, we been through that at one point or another. Somebody is going through something and it's like, oh, here we go. I ain't got no time for this because I got to worry about doing this. I have to worry about doing that. I have no time for them and all of this pain that they're going through. And they've been going through this for a long time. They should be over this by now. Yeah. Well, the experts say that this is indication that you're not compassionate. So, you got to change that outlook and mindset. They often say it's not that deep. And there are people who live like that. If it is not on their level of importance, it shouldn't be on your level of importance. It ain't ever that deep for them. Get over it. You should have been past it already. There's nothing that you can do about it now. And you know what? Oh, well. Yes. Is that you? Oh, are you passing this test or not? I don't know. You can't handle other people's tears. And men are infamous for this one. Once you start crying, they can't handle it. And, it's just a problem. And I honestly think that comes from them causing the tears. How about that one? Yes, that's what goes down. They're the ones that's causing the tears. And when you start crying, they can't handle it. Yeah, because now they're feeling guilty. Well, they should. They should. And what about you turn every conversation back to yourself? It's about me. I've been through that as well. You listen, we all go through it. Yeah. Yes. Or you start talking about your own scenarios, your own issues, and it is not to help them. It is not to indicate, what? This is how God may do things. No, it's about you. So those are some of the things that could clearly indicate that you are not compassionate. So if you fail the test, go to the Lord, have a conversation, ask him, what do you need in order for you to be a little more compassionate or a lot more compassionate? And you know what? I'm gonna tell you here. I'm gonna tell you what to do. Also, even if you think you're compassionate, go to the Lord and make sure. Let the Lord assess you. Sometimes when we ask God those hard questions and He comes back with an answer, yeah, we ain't all as great as we think we are. Yeah, He'll have to knock it down a couple of pegs. All right. Well, the switch tip was in effect. Switch number 225. Yesterday, the switch was Shanti's. And don't go back to what you know best. And as always, the first thing that came to my mind, and definitely one of the scriptures that was used, it's like a dog going back to his own vomit. Absolutely. Don't go back to, what you knew best. That's difficult, especially when you first break that habit. And not going back is a lot. It takes a lot not to go backwards. But again, if you stay before the Lord, there is nothing you can't do. I can do all things. All things. Christ gives you the strength to do all things. So, when you stop the drinking, stop the smoking, stop the promiscuity, stop this, stop that, and you are tempted to go back and do it, just call on God. That's the only way any of us get through anything that we do not want to do. Just call on God. Just pray. Make sure that's part of your prayer every morning. God, you know what? I'm past that. And I thank you. And that doesn't even cross my mind anymore. Thank you. We're not going to keep asking God over and over again like there's no improvement, because you got to speak this thing into existence. It just doesn't happen anymore. And yesterday we got a real good description and layout from Shantice regarding just don't go back to what you know best, because it's detrimental. God brought you from it for a reason. He says, behold, all things are new. You are a new creature. You don't have to do those things anymore. And sometimes one thing might be a little more difficult than the other, but you got this because you got God. All right? Well, that's how we spent our Monday. Today is Let's Talk About It Tuesday Church Folk Day. And I must admit, I am church folk dry. The news was dry. I couldn't come up with nothing on my own. So I'm going to reach out to you in viewer land, and I'm going to reach out to my Due Time crew to come up with something nice and juicy for our church folk. Now, Pastor Vinny came up with a good one the last time, and I'm looking for you all to help me this week, because I ain't gonna lie, I can't do it on my own today. So I know you got some good stuff out there, and I'm waiting to hear. I'm waiting to hear from you, okay? So go ahead and get that healthy breakfast. Go ahead and tell somebody, anybody, that it's Due Time with Pastor Steph is on. And whatever you do, don't go anywhere, because we will be right back.
And they said it was a foot trauma, but I could barely hear what was going on my phone. So when I got to the room, I saw a high school kid. Both his big toe and second toe were pretty mangled. Turns out he was mowing the lawn in sandals. He slipped going uphill, and the mower rode back over his foot, and instead of letting go of the handle, which would have shut it off automatically, he held on. The blade went straight through skin and bone, and so we started him on IV antibiotics immediately. He was sent home on oral antibiotics, but the damage was just too severe and the bone continued to break down. So he had to have his big toe and second toe amputated. Now here's the part that really hit me. This kid had a basketball scholarship, and when you lose your big toe, that affects everything, your balance, your speed, and it's going to affect his future on the court. And I see lawnmower injuries like this all the time. It's way too frequent, and almost every one of them is preventable. So please, if your kids are mowing the lawn, watch them, teach them, no open-toed shoes, no shortcuts. A few seconds of safety can protect an entire future. And I'll probably think about this one for a long while. Stay safe, stay balanced.
Good morning, and good morning again. Welcome back to It's Due Time with Pastor Steph, and it is Let's Talk About It Tuesday Church Folk Day. Thank you, God, for waking us up just one more day, giving us another opportunity to get it right. All right, remember, no mowing the lawn with open-toe shoes on. Come on, we got to make sure we are safe when we're doing these little chores and things. Okay, so don't forget that story. That was one unforgettable morning. Well, I have to say good morning to my loyal viewers. And the only way I know you're in the room is if you send me a shout out. So make sure I hear from you so I can say hello. Oh, we got our girl Ketty in the room first this morning. Where's Terrence at? Good morning, Ketty. How are you? Thank you so much for joining us. Oh, we got our boy Serge. Hey, Serge. Good morning. How are you? We've got our girl V in the house. Good morning, Vivian. Thank you so much for joining us. Safe travels to your work. We got Athena, our girl. You got to go back a couple of weeks and listen to our health coach. Yes, fantastic job she always does. She says, greetings, everyone. There's no time like the present than to fix ourselves. We are not perfect, and there's always room for improvement in who we are as human beings. Throw arrogance, pride, envy, jealousy, pettiness overboard. It does your life no good. Have a wonderful day. All right, I like that. Good morning. We got a check-in from our girl Tamika. Hey, Tamika. Good morning. Thank you so much for joining us on this side of the fence. And we are going to say good morning to the ladies that help us hold it down, or who hold us down each and every morning. If it weren't for them, we would not be before you on Facebook Live, YouTube Live. Let's say good morning to our girls, Anika. Hey, Anika. Thank you so much for joining us. And our girl, our Due Time crew member, Shantice. Good morning. Shantice. Good morning. Oh, we couldn't do it without you ladies. Thank you so much for always being in our corner. Well, yesterday on our health tip, we talked about the 10 cities that were going to be hit hardest with mosquitoes this year. And I don't know what they do to, figure this out, but I'll go over it again because I got a part 2 to that. Well, LA, Los Angeles, Chicago, New York, Atlanta, Detroit, Houston, Dallas, Washington, D.C., Cleveland, and Denver. Be on the lookout. We are supposed to get hit hardest with the mosquitoes. And man, I went to sit down and I got this big old welt on the back of my leg. Don't tell me they just started already, y'all. We were only supposed to be number 3. You haven't been to LA and Chicago yet, mosquitoes? Oh my goodness gracious. So like I said, I don't know. They're talking about, these are the pest controllers and, people who do the environment and all of that kind of stuff. They're the ones who are saying that these are the 10 hardest hit cities this year. So I've got a supplement to that particular story. And these are the best ways, they say, to get rid of mosquitoes. Okay. So I hope you came with your pen and paper, because we're going to need to get these tips. Well, eliminate standing water. And they've been saying this for years, that standing water draws mosquitoes. They say they're attracted to standing water, and like bees are attracted to honey. So, mosquitoes to water, like bees to honey. Yeah, that's what they're saying. And they're saying that it's because standing water is, something, whatever it is, the water is attracting them. So not only that, but we've been having like pockets of rain. So, we were dry for a long time here in New York. I don't know about wherever you are, for the longest time we were dry here, and now we've got this long periods, like days, consecutive days of rain. So that is one easy way to pick up pockets of water. I know I'm bad with that. I don't go around emptying out, things that have accumulated water, but we need to get rid of them. They say if we're going to get rid of the mosquitoes, all right? They say plant mosquito repelling herbs and flowers. Wow. Okay. I didn't even know there was such a thing. Okay. They say planting a collection of mosquito repelling herbs and flowers can potentially be an easy way to drive those mosquitoes away. Now, they say you need a well-planted a planter filled with citronella grass, lemongrass, lavender, marigolds, basil, mint, and catnip. Again, I'll give you that list. It's supposed to have citronella grass, lemongrass, lavender, marigolds, basil, mint, and catnip. Now, this is an expensive way to get rid of some mosquitoes. So, if if you have a green thumb, then I guess there's nothing for you. I wouldn't do anything with that. My green thumb I wouldn't do anything well with the planting of those things. They say keep your lawn trimmed and bushes well maintained. Okay. They say, these are breeding grounds for the mosquitoes, and they like to rest in tall trees and leaf piles, thick ground covered in a bunch of grassy, tall grass leaves and all kinds of things. And if you mow your lawn on a regular basis, trim those bushes, they say that's one way you can keep the mosquitoes down. All righty. Install physical barriers. Now, I am definitely interested in this one. And they say you can install your own, do DIY. Yeah. Put up your window screens. Oh, let's not say window screens. Netting. And those can prevent the mosquitoes from coming in your house. I thought they meant window screens, y'all. Simple as that. Outdoor fans. Wow. Okay. They say if you got a box fan or two sitting around at home, you can put that outdoors, and it actually pushes mosquitoes away from areas where people congregate. I've seen people with fans outside, and that is the weirdest look to me. It's the weirdest thing that I have ever seen. But hey, listen, if you've got a box fan, take it outside, because it is completely useless on the inside. Why do they even sell those things? They're nothing but noisemakers and annoyance. They are annoying because all they do is just spin. If you stand right there, you don't feel anything. I have never felt any air from a box fan. They need to throw them things in the garbage. But if you have one that you just can't seem to part with, wait. How about the people who put them in the window and try to use them for a window fan? Well, they are now your mosquito repellent. So if you've had a hard time departing with your window fan, box fan, then the window fans, the real window fans, they are amazing. Yeah, I would opt for a window fan quicker than I would opt for an air conditioner. Yeah. Yeah, because it's going to blow that natural air in. But put the box fan outside for the mosquitoes. Get something out of your monies, your purchase. All right. Apply yard treatments. They say a more thorough mosquito control method is to carefully apply yard treatments with EPA registered products. And they say those sprays kill mosquitoes on contact and create temporary barriers that last for several weeks. So pollute the air. All right. Invest in mosquito traps and zappers. And I was wondering if this was, going to be on there. You ever been into it? Pew, pew, with the light and it's just popping all over the place. Do they work? Somebody let me know if those things really work. Because they're saying use them here. I've seen people for the longest time, like right over their porch, in their backyard. But I don't even know if those things really work. So tell me if they work. I want to know. Tell us if it works. They say that they have found that they are nifty devices that get rid of mosquitoes and they make a difference. So I guess if you're putting them along with the cutting of the trimming the grass and cutting the bushes and mowing the lawn and the spray, maybe they will work. I don't know. They also say hire a licensed pest control service. So I don't know what they're going to do, in all honesty. They say they put up barrier spray treatments and more comprehensive things. I don't know. They're in the air. I've never, this is the first time I'm hearing go get some pest control people for mosquitoes. Mosquitoes don't really live in your house. So I don't know. Tell me if you've ever done it, and if it's worth the dollar. Okay. And those are the ways they're saying we can keep the mosquitoes away. All right. So like I said, I'm really interested. Let me know if these things are working for you. And, we'll see. All right. Tamika has something for church folk. So thank you. I'll come back and I'll read it. Wow. And Teresa is saying good morning. Good morning, Teresa. Tamika says, summer doesn't officially start until I get bit by mosquitoes. It's official. I've already been bit. Wow. I told you I just got this whip on my leg. Yes. This is what's going on with the mosquitoes. I agree. Now you're up and running. All right. What are we talking about in the news this morning? All right. Well, it wouldn't be news if we weren't talking about another low-life parent. Oh, what's the matter with these people? So there's this 27-year-old woman who has, I want to get these ages together, 8, 6, 2, and 4 months. So she's been a breeding ground and she has been a mess because they're saying that she has been in trouble with the authorities before over her children. Back in 2019, she had a child neglect case involving the death of an infant daughter. And she's been arrested again. And thanks to her mama. Yes, mama don't play. So the 8-year-old was left in charge of the 6, the 2, and the 4-month-old. And after trying to call her mother over and over and over again, she ended up calling grandma and told grandma what was going on. And she told grandmother that she had been left to care for her siblings for days. and there was no adult supervision in those days. And grandma came over, and when she got there, the door was unlocked. The house was an absolute mess. There was no food. There was garbage all over the place. So mama called the authorities. And when they got there, that's exactly what they found. And when they questioned the 8-year-old, the 8-year-old told them, I've been here for days and I've been trying to call my mommy, but nobody has answered. Mommy hasn't answered. No one else has answered. And they called mom. They called mom. And I guess somehow or another, this was one of the times she answered, or maybe they left a message. I don't know. But she ended up coming home at about 10 o'clock. And when she got there, she told them that she had only been gone for 20 minutes. Why? Why are we bothering? Why are we bothering? First of all, it was 20 minutes before we got there, tried to call you, and waited for you to come home. That was 20 minutes right there. Why do we bother? Why do we bother to lie? Stop lying. Stop lying. Maybe lying is what we can talk about. Lying. Stop lying. Well, after they told her they didn't believe her story, she then broke down and told them that she had left the children alone and the 8-year-old was the one in charge, and that she had done it on occasion. Why? Check this out. Because she didn't want to have to round up all them kids at once when she wanted to leave the house. You thought that leaving them by themselves is the resolve to not wanting to leave the house and have to round up all the kids? Did you think about that when you went to have the next child? Let's talk about it. Come on. Well, that doesn't even make any sense. That doesn't even make any sense. Well, it's okay because they arrested her and they are bringing up again this 219 event where the 6-month-old daughter, they said, tragically died from blunt force trauma. Now, here's why you can't do no favors and you can't be nice. So in this particular case, she got some real lenient sentence. They had her on home detention, followed by 2 years probation. Now, I don't know what this blunt force trauma was, but clearly they didn't think that she hit the baby in the head with something, because they would have arrested her. Well, you know what? They needed to have arrested her anyway, because now she put the 4 children in jeopardy of being, hurt, killed, by anything that could have gone wrong while she was away. And you're away for days. So that, I don't want to round up 4 kids to take them out all at once, is dead. What is that? So they've arrested her, and now they're going to bring up the other case. Yeah, a case from 2019. Well, that's partly your fault, because you should have taken care of her when you had the opportunity. Oh, where else are we going? Oh, it wouldn't be news if the couples weren't at it either. So you've got this couple who went to a restaurant out in Tennessee, and the security guard is telling this story because he was there from beginning to end. So they are married. They're married. So you've got 27-year-old Jose Montoya and his wife, 26-year-old Judith Ramirez. And they both were in the restaurant, and Jose got loud. Now, clearly, Jose and Judith must be legal, because they were making a lot of noise in the restaurant. So the security guard went over to them and asked them to please lower their voices. Well, Jose got loud, and then after Jose got loud, Judith got loud, because that's how we do. You can't talk to my man. Yeah. And they were now put out of the restaurant. Well, I guess the security guard watched, them go to their car. And when they went to their car, they loaded up a gun, came back, and started shooting at the security guard. And the security guard fired back. Now, we always talk about this thing, Shantice and I, and my mother used to talk about this. When you go to a restaurant and they got armed security, forget about not sitting with your back to the door. Why are there armed security in the restaurant? Long gone the days when we could just sit down and eat. You got to have armed guards at the movie theaters, at the restaurants, at the bodega. What? I don't understand. There's just armed guards everywhere. So they started shooting at one another. And unfortunately, they shot a woman in the back of the head. Yes. Innocent bystander ended up getting shot. As of this report, she was not dead. She was in the hospital in critical condition. Thank God. I don't know what kind of long-term effect, if any, that she will, have to, endure. But clearly the security guard lived. They did end up arresting Jose and Judith, and they are now having to go to court out in Tennessee. It just takes nothing now to just start shooting up a place. You're in a restaurant. There are other patrons. You are not there alone, Jose. And the security guard said, that the staff was complaining. And he just, asked them nicely to just lower their voices. And Jose got louder. And that's when he was escorted out. And that's when all the gunfire took place. I don't know. I don't know, y'all. We don't want to abide by any rules. We don't want to. We don't want to be respectful. This world we're living in, you need to just stay at home. And it's so sad because you can't go out and have a good time and have to worry about these things. Now, you're in a restaurant eating and you get shot in the back of the head from someone who didn't want to leave because they wanted to be loud. I don't know, y'all. All right, what else are we talking about in the news today? Okay, so listen, y'all let me know what y'all think about this. This is an interesting story. And we went to an award ceremony for my granddaughter the other day. And they had a list. There were 4 classes. And it was a list of children they were just getting awards. And thus the award ceremony. And, you were clapping. And after a while, people was like, oh, my hands are getting tired. But, I have to tell you, I was just clapping. And anybody that knows my little fibromyalgia, my arms were tired, hurting and everything. But you feel kind of bad because everyone doesn't have the same level of support. Everybody doesn't even have someone there, because you don't know the circumstances. And you want everybody to, get some claps. Well, there was a kindergarten graduation. And they asked the group, the audience, please only clap once. Now, not once per child, per child. That's what they wanted you to do. Because of the very things that I was saying to you. You know, everybody doesn't have the same support level and things like that. So needless to say, when you're dealing with people, you are always going to be left with mixed responses. So there were some responses of people who were like, listen, rationing out claps is outright ridiculous. If so-and-so don't have it, then they got to learn from early. Yes, these are some of the responses. They posted some of the responses. So you've got somebody who says, listen, I'm not rationing out anything. I'm yelling for my son, daughter, niece, grandchild, whoever, my next door neighbor. I'm yelling, I'm clapping. And if Lil Joanne or Marisol don't have, family and people there, then they're going to have to learn from early that everybody just doesn't have. And you're going to have to sometimes do it that way. There were others who were like, okay, you know what? I get it. I get it. No big deal. I understand. There were others who were like, why can't I just clap for my people? Or why, or why do I have to go through this? Yet others that said, you know what? I wanted to clap for everybody. That was me. Last week, I was like, I'm clapping for everybody. My daughter was like, okay, my arms are tired. Because she's clapping for others. Thank God my granddaughter was one who got, several. And she's got little friends there that, we're kind of close to. So we're clapping and we're cheering for them as well. And, so we're trying to do it for everybody. So there were those people in this, in the remarks. So listen, I'm willing to clap for everybody. I don't want to just, what would you do? I'm just curious. Put in the chat room. Where are you going with this? Is it because that's what they asked, and or is it I'm cheering for everybody, or is it listen, I'm cheering for mine, and if Lil Joanne, Marisol, Juan, Derek, they don't have theirs, then I'm sorry. They're going to have to learn from young that it is what it is. So let me know in the chat room what you think. I'm dying to hear from the Due Time crew. I'm going to put it out there. I'm just one who just claps for everybody. And let me tell you something. My granddaughter has been in everything. It's a blessing. She's active. She has a little artsy thing going on. So she dances and she sings, and we go to a recital every year, and they have from this big dancing, until like teenagers. And you can't help but clap for the little people. They are adorable. So you just find yourself in the throes. And the one thing I always have appreciated about the recital attendees, they cheer for everybody. And I'm the woo. I don't even have to know you, but I'm yelling and I'm screaming because you know what? In my head, I'm thinking there are people that just don't have it. And my mother, if she was in that room, and she was in every room I was in, every single room, every time I was in something, and I was pretty active, she was there, and she let you know she was there. So we don't mind cheering, but as you see, there are some people that do, and they were hot about this. Well, to end this story, they at the end of everybody getting their little walk across their little stage or floor, they gave the audience an opportunity to clap, yell, scream, and after it was over, to do all it as long as they wanted to. So if they wanted to do it for 15 minutes and it went on for 15 minutes, they were open. But they just asked for that one clap so they could move the ceremony along, and so that children would not feel slighted if they didn't have it. So please let me know what you think. Where's my Due Time crew? Is Pastor Vinny in the house?
Good morning. Good morning. Good time. Pastor
Good
Vinny is
morning,
in
Pastor
the
Vinny.
house. Yes,
How are you?
I'm feeling good. I am feeling good. I give God praise. Waking me up to see another morning. Another
Amen.
Tuesday morning.
Amen. Amen. And amen. Please tell Pastor Brenda we are missing her again this week
She's
and
under the
give
weather.
her hugs.
She's
Oh, we
under
hope
the
if she
weather.
feels better.
She just she said she needs to go to urgent care later on. So later on this morning,
Oh,
yeah. So just to, stay on top of things. Her sinuses,
oh,
they just don't do her any justice.
oh. Well, tell her we are praying for her and we hope she feels
Yeah, I
better.
just have to.
All righty. Pastor Vinny, let's get to talking.
Yes.
So we've got this situation with let's you know what? Let's just talk about the clapping. Let's talk about the clapping. So you've got Nathaniel, who else?
Marcus,
Marcus, and who's the third?
Benjamin.
Benjamin. And are all three of your boys in the arts?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Okay. So you have had your share of going out from very little and, being a part of this cheering squad.
Yeah.
So, for those who are just joining us, we have this situation where there's a kindergarten graduation going on, and the organizers have asked, please only clap per child. So, Vincent Stokes, Benjamin Stokes, Stephanie Griffin, Nathaniel Stokes, Brenda Stokes. That's what you hear. That's what you would. That's what you get it. That's what they wanted.
Yeah.
So the crowd was mixed. They were angry. Very few were like, okay, Stephanie Griffin, Kenneth Frazier. Yeah, that very few. The other ones, they were in an uproar. They were like, listen, you know what? I'm cheering for mine. I'm cheering for Nathaniel when he get up there. I'm sorry if Benjamin ain't got somebody who come in. Jose ain't got, his family got deported, so he ain't got nobody here.
Oh,
We
no,
saw,
you
but
didn't.
yeah, listen, that's how we get down, right? His mama been deported. We can't help that. She ain't here no more, and maybe somebody else couldn't accompany him. But we instead of cheering for little Jose as well, like I'm cheering for mine. Others were, you know what? I'll cheer for everybody. It's okay. Others were like, you know what? They want us to wait. We'll wait. Where are you in all of this?
I get it. I understand both sides of it. They have a certain amount of time that they had to get through this program. Sometimes on these venues, there's another graduation or another award ceremony coming right after this one. So there are time constraints, and the applause. You'd be surprised how much time that eats up.
Right.
And then listen, these kids are young, so they're gonna have another award ceremony next year or down the line. Kindergarten is not college graduation. Some of them act like this is, especially like middle school or whatever. Like this is it for them. They're not going to get any more applause.
Right.
They're not going to get any more award. I mean, this is their holy grail. And yeah, I mean, it is that bad. We're in the area. Have you seen that they got their kid picture on fans. Have you seen that?
Yes. My
On
daughter
fans.
wanted that when she graduated. She wanted either fans or shirts. I'm not wearing you. I look at you every day. I'm all right.
Yeah. Shoot, you should have, Shanti should have get one of them church fans. But yeah, we don't, and it kind of is unfair for those that can't do that, can't go to that level. So I understand, but what I'm saying is, don't overdo it. There's some people that overdo it with the horns. You know the horns? Yes! With the squeeze horn.
Wow.
All the noise. They get empty out, laundry detergent boxes, and they put rocks or whatever, and they're making noise with that, almost like it's at a football game or something.
Wow.
They want to maintain a level of decorum, so it doesn't just get totally out of hand. So
Yes.
I mean, the one clap might be a little difficult to monitor or get people to do, but if they just hold back a little bit, just hold back a little bit, and it'll be okay.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
All right, now I gotta tell y'all a little piece of this when it's done. Let's get Shantice on the line, Pastor Vinny. While we're doing that, let's see. Ketty says, went to my granddaughter's graduation, and they said, please hold your clap once also, but we all clap for everyone. Okay. We got to check in from Terrence. Hey, Terrence, good morning. Good morning, my king. All righty. And we got to check in from Miss Grace. Hey, Miss Grace, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. And hey, Shakira, good morning. Oh, I see what's happening here. It's Shakira under Miss Grace. Okay, hey, Jesus loves you. Yes, and he loves you too. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. We're talking about the kindergarten graduation, where the administration asked everyone to clap once for each child, which is once. That's it, one clap, not per child. No, once. And then at the end, they would be allowed to cheer and yell and clap for as long as they wanted to. Good morning, Shantice.
Good morning. How are you pastors doing?
I am well, thank you. I'm well. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you.
Good. All right, Shantice. So, like I said, they were met with mixed emotions. They put the statements that the people made into the article. Some said, okay, we understand, like Pastor Vinny said, we trying to make time. One clap is good for us. There are others who said, you know what, why we just can't clap for everybody? And there were those who said, listen, if little Jose ain't got nobody here to clap for him, I can't help him. But I'm clapping for mine. And he just gonna have to learn. That's literally what it said. Kids are gonna have to learn from early that this is the way it happens. What's your say?
Well, I want to know who was the winner that thought of clap once. What like who's doing that? Like Missy Peebles. Like what? I felt like cheerleader. Like it's better to just, if you was to just ask everyone, please hold your applause until the end.
To the end.
But I don't agree with that either. I feel as though children should learn things from early, but this is not one of the things that should be thrown in their face, because this is not something that they can help. This is different from they're going to have to learn they're not going to win everything, or that's different. Winning is based on their capabilities, not because my parents are
support, general
right,
support.
right. Whether they don't care enough to stop working, or they don't care enough to get up off the couch, or they're just not taking care of themselves, so they're not here. I feel like this has been going on for enough graduation seasons where you just gonna have to, you meaning the faculty and staff, are gonna have to understand that ain't nobody holding a clap. It's becoming more and more challenging for parents to get their children to the next level. They want to celebrate that. The whole family wants to celebrate that because the parents are being celebrated also. So it's, even though I understand about the time and all that, y'all just gonna have to figure this out. Now, as far as clapping for everyone, there's enough staff at these award ceremonies and graduations that if there are no parents there, the staff can clap for the children. In addition to everyone else who wouldn't mind. I am one also who just claps because I like being a part of the melee a lot of times. We went to my sister's graduation, was that last month, where she received her master's, and every family that yells for their people, we were yelling with them. We ain't on the people. We weren't just clapping. We were yelling like we just flew to see our family walk across, our family member walk across the stage, and they looked at us laughing. They were like, "Well, what's going on here?" We were just yelling like we were with them. It's part of the celebration. So I feel like they should just make the announcement like, please, in support of all the students, can you please just give a round of applause for everyone, in addition to the staff. Listen, y'all should be happy. Either y'all happy to get rid of these kids, or y'all happy to see the kids elevate. So either way, y'all should be clapping for the students as well. So that way it wouldn't be like this huge imbalance of, oh, these set of kids got the bells and the whistles and the confetti, but these kids got the one clap. Like, it's like, that is so like, who came up with that?
Well, here's the thing, bringing back up the graduation for the masters. It was so funny because there were a couple of times, talk about support. And this was I say, you know what? This is stuff that happens. So like Shanti said, there were people who were like in pockets, you'd hear, Vincent Stokes, and you'd hear, yay, a couple of people who were there. And then you'd hear Shantice Morrison, and you'd hear, yay, and then you'd hear Stephanie Griffin. And it was so funny because there were a few times, it was, yeah, one voice. One voice. This one voice was like, gave it all they had, yeah. And the whole room just burst out laughing. And then everybody started clapping. And so as it's a celebratory aura.
Right.
So my thing is, I don't know what y'all anticipated that people would not, because I've seen many times where when the room senses that the support is not heavy for a little Mary or a little John, then the room,
right,
perk up. Right. So I don't know what, like Shanti said, I don't know what they were anticipating. Here's the thing that I wanted to mention. Wait, Pastor KL is in the room now, so I did want to include him. Let's see. While we pull up Pastor KL, there's a couple of comments before I go any further. Vivian said, I'm not rationing claps, laugh out loud. I'm sorry, but I have never adhered to the clapping rules. When my family member is called, I'm gonna, I can't see. Oh my God. I don't care. It's a graduation. That's what she said, pretty much. She's joining in the melee with Shantice. Tara says, I don't care what they say or ask us to do. All I know is I'm clapping for everyone. To the people, Terrence, so are we.
I'm having a graduation just cause, so y'all can yell my name.
Good morning, Pastor KL.
God bless you. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. You ain't got to say God bless me. I know you're the one God bless me. But but we're talking this morning
It goes with my
about the
title.
kindergarten.
Take that.
What'd you say? What'd you say?
I said it goes with my title.
Okay. Well, listen, this goes with the title too. So the graduation ceremony was going on, and they were getting ready to call each child's name as they were walking across kindergarten, and they asked they asked the room for when the child's name is called to only clap once. Kenneth Frazier, Shantice Morrison, Vincent Stokes, like that. So it was met with mixed emotions. What is your feeling on your child is graduating, your niece is graduating, your grandchild's graduating, whomever, and they want you to just clap once?
Well, you know what? I got a couple of feelings. You know, I understand that you said this is kindergarten, but the other thing is that you don't know how long it took Johnny to get out of high school. He could have repeated this class 4 times, 4 years, and now he's getting out. Listen, I'm celebrating. He ain't gonna get one clap because y'all kept on clapping him back. Now the other thing, let's go to college. Let's go to college. I done put five, the number of grace, 5 kids through college. I'm celebrating for me that I don't have to pay no more. I'm celebrating for me. I'm happy that you are out, but it's mostly for me. You don't need my information no more. You don't have to go and tell them how much money I make no more. You don't need book money. You don't need food money. You don't need candy money. I'm celebrating for me.
So we know you got the roars going on. Well, here's the thing. They were really upset because there were only 17 children.
And you want one clap?
Wow. Wow.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's really what turned them up. What? It was at the end of the day, it was only 17 kids. Really? How long was it? Because again, like you said, Pastor Vinny, it does prolong the ceremony. We know that. We do know everyone does not have the same amount of support, but it was only 17 kids. And we just got finished talking about a college graduation. I just got finished talking about an award ceremony. You, Pastor Vinny, have been through 3 rounds of however many graduations and all kinds of things where there was more than 17
Oh,
kids.
yeah. Hundreds.
When we went to the college graduation, that floor was jam-packed.
And they kept I'm
out. Go ahead.
No, I'm sorry, Pastor Steph. I'm trying to figure out this prolonging concept because pretty much every student, like you said, that those seats down there for the graduates were jam-packed. Pretty much every student got a holler. And guess what they kept doing? Calling them names. So if you couldn't hear your name as loud because your crew yelled a little louder than the previous student, so sorry. Catch it on the replay. But they just kept calling them names. They made sure that those microphones worked.
Yeah.
We were at Nassau Coliseum. Okay? They made sure that sound system was on point.
And loud enough you heard everybody.
They kept ushering them students up on that stage. They only stopped for a millisecond to take their quick pick, and they kept it moving. Other than that, it didn't matter how loud or how low someone cheered for them. They kept it going. So what kind of unplanned people y'all?
Listen, not only that, Shantice, but we've stayed at funerals longer than graduations.
Right.
Aretha Franklin and James Brown funeral happened. It was like 4 days. My cable went off. It was so long.
Right. You don't ask, can you just limit this to one tier?
Right.
When you sing "Eye on a Sparrow," can you just sing one verse? No, they got to sing that same verse about 18 times, about 19
Pastor Cal knows.
Yes.
He knows.
Yes. Then when they come up for the remarks, they just recently started asking for you to limit your speech when you go up there to give your reflections on
Yeah.
the speech. But
For
besides
2
that,
minutes. Don't nobody speak for 2 minutes.
And but how many people adhere to that?
right,
Few.
you don't limit the amount of
Many.
people that can get up there. So if their father's whole side of the family want to get up and give reflections, and you say 2 minutes, 2 minutes times 20 gives you what? That's an hour right there. So we still sitting here longer than what we want to.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I'm going back a few years. My nephew graduated from college, and they were at Madison Square Garden. Oh my God. And I don't say that. Man, I'm saying, oh my God. The amount of graduates, it had to be 1,000 of them. Oh my God, it had to be. And every single one of them walked across that stage, and every single one of them got their name. When I tell you, it was Madison Square Garden, and they made sure it was Madison Square Garden because nothing else could have held that graduation class.
Right.
And they did not ask us to hold no applause. And we literally had to wait for every single one of them 1,000 graduates to go for your one child. For your one child. It wasn't your family. It was your one child to go across that stage. Shantice Morrison, yay! And then you had to wait for 900 other people behind her. Yo, that's just the way it is. Now, here's my thing. You know, you talk about it does prolong the ceremony, but it's one graduation a year. So a lot for the time. A lot for the time. You know, or how about cutting out some of these boring speeches?
Oh my God, why does the whole faculty have to speak?
Speeches. So therefore you can get, you know, some name calling and some proper clapping going on. But yeah, that was the caveat. You know, that was the kicker for the parents and the people that were there. They said it was only 17 children in the room. So what was the big deal? We got some comments here. Terrence says, wow, 17 kids. Now I'm clapping loud and screaming every kid's name. You go mad loud.
Yep.
And wait, what if they had to pay to attend as well? Man, I'm going crazy. I'm bringing the karaoke machine. You know what? Terrence, you out of control.
Where you plugging it in?
Out of control.
Where you plugging
All
it
right.
in?
Tamika says, I'm going to ease on down the aisle, cartwheeling when my baby graduates. Don't judge me. Other people are thinking the same exact thing. If I got to sit there and listen to some of the boring speeches, you're going to have to give me a minute. Listen, and that's the way I feel. You plan accordingly. You plan for your 17 kids to get all the yells that they want. And call it a day. You know, this was a big thing, and up to they were not happy. They were not happy. And you know what? The bottom line is, whether it's from pre-K all the way to graduation of some college, you know, people want to go and they want to salute their family. They want to salute their loved ones. So you know what? Let it be what it be. And let it do what it do. Let the people do what they, you know, what they come to do. Let me tell you something. They had on Instagram, I don't know how many of you saw it, but they had on Instagram, there was a woman a mother who her son graduated, and she got up there and danced on the stage. She ran up on the stage and danced. And they had to escort her off the stage. Now, I don't know. Maybe it was what Pastor KL said, where she almost lost her son in some shape, form, or fashion. So it was a dance. So, and you've seen those Instagram where they break out with shouting. They actually do the shout. The graduates have actually had a praise break going on. So listen, anything is willing to bust out, as long as it's not disrespectful.
Yeah.
You know, what do you know? Just leave the people alone. Just leave the people alone. All righty. Tamika came through with something for church folks. She says, why do church folk have their own words? For instance, man of God. Does it make us holier? Oh my goodness. Pastor Vinny, man of God.
Don't forget the D.
Yes, man of God. Doesn't make you holier. What say you? Any other words they say?
I think it makes the orator feel more important, or more. It doesn't do anything for the person, but for the person that's saying it, I think they feel a little more elevated. That they got this window going on. First of all, if you are any minister or pastor or bishop or archbishop or do that, it's supposed to be a level of humanity, of humility that goes before you. So, I mean, but if you like the title, you like the, all of that fluff, more power to you. But it shouldn't do anything. It don't do anything for me. Believe me, it don't do anything for me. And I'm laughing because here's another crucifixion of the English language.
Absolutely, man of God. Yeah, man, you're trying to act all out there. Please. I got a question for you, Pastor Vinny, while we're talking to you. Yeah. Are you the type that people have to call you Pastor Vinny?
Oh. No. I've been a part of several different kinds of congregations. There was a season that the Lord sent me and Brenda to a white church, and it was supposed to be non-denominational, and so white folks, they real casual. They call everybody gets the first name on the first name basis. I don't care what you call me, just as long as you treat me fairly, treat me with a level of respect. I've been called a whole lot of things by my own mother, especially when I deserved it. It's all good, but
okay.
No, I don't. Some people need that. There are some people that need it, and they'll correct you in short order.
Yes.
They will correct
I'm
you.
pastor. I'm bishop. Yes.
I earned it, and I understand that. But everybody is not necessarily familiar with all those terminologies, and I don't think any harm is meant, especially when you're not accustomed to be in those kind of circles,
Okay. All right. Shantice, Tamika wants to know, why do you have to say man of God, or, some of these other terminologies that they use? What's your thought?
Who's calling you that? I've heard it.
Yeah.
I've heard it before, but I can't see myself like, and I've heard it, like they could be conversing in church. Mainly I've heard it in church. And they'll be talking about, oh, wait, man of God. What? Why? Listen, I call people by their title if that's what I'm used to calling them. So if I was to see Pastor Vinny in the street, I'm not gonna be like, oh, what's up, Vinny? That's weird. That's weird for me, because I just always call him Pastor Vinny. So naturally, I always say, if I had to yell, if I saw him down the block, If we was in the middle of Times Square and I saw him, that's what he would hear. Pastor Vinny! That's what he would hear, because that's what I'm used to calling him, not because he mandates that. If I'm used to calling you Richard and I see you and I happen to run into you in the dentist's office, I'm not gonna be like, oh, what's up? Oh, this Pastor Richard. No, we're in the dentist's office. Listen, unless you about to pray and ask God to give me this loan so I can get this root canal, then there's no need for me to mention that you're clergy. We're in the dentist's office. And I've been around pastors who have introduced themselves like that in settings where it wasn't necessary to be known that they were a pastor. And I'm like, well, what kind of insecurities do you have? Wait, because I just know you as plain old Richard. Why I just heard you hey, I'm Pastor Richard. So, okay, so how is that changing the trajectory of this conversation right now? How is that changing the scenery? What happens now? Do I get to skip the line? It's just like it's just too much being put on it. Now I will say, especially in this space, when we're in church, mainly like if the few churches we visit, because we Pastor Stephanie on prayer, we don't visit many churches. When we go to another church, if I hear Sister Stephanie, I am the first. I could be in the restroom. All you hear is Pastor Stephanie.
And that's because be in the restroom.
Yes, and that's because you're gonna put some respect on that. You know, it's a lot of times it's because of the whole women shouldn't be at the pulpit teaching type thing. But I don't care where we are, and I've had someone tell me you can't do that. The devil is a lie. The Holy Spirit ain't convict me of that. That is Pastor Stephanie. But when she's out in the street, I've never heard her say, "Oh, well, you know what? I'm Pastor Stephanie." Well, no, it's just those. Is the connotation is the word? Those titles, it's just like it's thrown to make yourself feel better. And it's like while you're demanding that title, can you break down what Matthew 7:7 means for me? Like how about that title? How about that? Because I'm having situations with my flight with that verse. How about but it's just all about just the insecurity, and now I have to push that out there for you to know that this is my position in the church, even when we're not in the church. Doesn't make sense to me.
Okay. Pastor KL, what say you?
Well, a couple of things. You know, I'm trying to figure out how Shantice will call Pastor Vinny, and I've been KL forever. You know what I mean? I ain't never
I'm older.
But
that reminds me of.
Do not remind him of that. It's dangerous.
But I digress. I don't. Okay, so if I say you have to call me Pastor KL, I think that's a problem. But for someone to say man of God, I think that's a term of respect. Just like down here in the South, I had to get used to yes, sir, no, sir, yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. You ain't got to say yes, sir, no, sir to me. You know, but that's just what they do. You know, I think it's just a term of respect that people have for the men and women of God. You know, but for you to say, no, you got to call me bishop or you got to call me pastor, you know, I think you're out of order. But if someone is giving you high respect, then you know, I don't have a problem with that.
You're out of order.
And Shanti, I'm Pastor KL for the rest of your life.
Oh my goodness gracious. You know, I'm real funny about this title calling. And I do understand that everybody, you know, who is under the title of pastor, it's a different, you know, thing for them. I am not Pastor Steph in JCPenney. I'm just not. not. I'm just Stephanie. You know, please. The only people that, you know, if you're younger than me, you know, out of respect, you're saying Miss Steph. Because even sometimes in church, they'll say Miss Steph, you know, and it didn't bother me. It didn't bother me because a lot of them I knew before I was a pastor. So I didn't say to them, excuse me. Now, 4 years ago when you met me, when you were a little girl, I was a pastor. I mean, I was Miss Steph. But now we in church now. You gonna elevate that thing. I'm Pastor Steph. I just did it. They called me Miss Steph, and I was fine. I was fine with that. As long as you're respectful, because when we were growing up, we did not call adults by their first name. It was not like we were their peers. So I can't, that I'm not comfortable with. But if we're not in a church setting, so we're here, so we're in a church setting, if you will. And not only that, it's the name of the show. It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. So you refer to me as Pastor Steph. But if we're not like here in a church setting, whatever, I'm just plain old Stephanie. I don't need to be called pastor, and I say to people, listen, I paid a price for running from pastor. So you ain't ever got to remind me that I'm a pastor. I get it, so I don't, sometimes people, they've struggled, they've got something to prove, they felt that they were disrespected, whatever situation was, or is, and they have to go that route. But personally, like I said, people have said, hey, Sister Steph. I'm like, we ain't in church. We good. We good. We out in the street. I can be Stephanie. I'm okay with that. And, some people, have said, well, once I meet you like that, then, when I'm not here, I say KL. When I'm not here, I say Kim. I say Nitisha. I call everybody by their first name. I do not, use their, pastor, elder, and things like that. But here, definitely, I'm going to, maintain the title. But some people have to live like that. I got a question. Let me see. Tell her Pastor KL and I and Mr. Terrence.
He just be trying it. You see how he be trying to get me to
Terrence, how much is he paying you?
I got no business saying.
How much is he paying you, Terrence?
Said I'm Mr. Terrence.
Oh my gosh. We got to put our money together.
He just keep testing me.
Oh my goodness gracious. But Pastor Vinny and Pastor Brenda, that's who they are. Yes. Pastor Vinny, Pastor Brenda.
I could never call her Brenda. Hey, what's up, Brenda? Let me send you this info.
Right. I'm older, and I would never refer to them as Brenda and Vinny. It just doesn't work like that. No.
You are just Vinny. You are Vinny. That's all you are, Vinny.
Vinny and Les.
Pastor Vinny, because he's just spoiled.
I got my son in the back there saying, "Oh yeah, sure, Mr. Vinny."
That's your
right.
That's your offspring. They can do stuff like that.
Yeah, they do.
I have a question. Why do church services have to go 4-5 hours? Somebody help me.
Because
help me. They just listen. I'm sorry. I don't need to know what they did since they were 2 and now they are 92. I just don't. Just why? Pastor Vinny, please help. Why? Maybe you, as an older, seasoned individual, you can help us find out why we got to sit through 9 hours of a funeral, and unless or the people feel disrespected. What is that? What is that?
I thank God that in my seasoned age, my seasoned time, I don't even deal with those kind of services anymore. Oh. My butt can only stand but so much of the church bench.
Oh.
After that, I'm up and I'm out. There is really no reason on a Sunday morning or Wednesday or whatever it is, that the word portion, now the service is broken down into several parts. There's a praise and worship portion. There's a word, and then there's a time for consecration or prayer, reflection, prayer. But all of that should be wrapped up in no more than an hour and a half. All of that should be wrapped up in no more than an hour and a half. You start to disrespect your congregation, and you got them believing that unless they stay in the church service for 3 hours, they're not in church. They haven't church unless they've been someplace for 3. It's foolishness, and that's why people would rather stay home. People would rather stay home than to continue to go through that. Listen, this is a new day. People have options. They have choices.
Right. They can watch you on TV and get up and go get something to eat.
That's
and
it.
Get up and run to the store. Yep. And get up and go flower shopping for the mosquito repellents.
Put you on pause. Put you on pause or turn you off.
Wow.
I think it's such a disrespect to the congregation when you feel that you have to keep your people in there over 3 hours. I don't. When I was little and I didn't have any choice, we just sat there. But now, my body can't take it.
Mine either.
I give up. I put up the finger. I put up the finger, and I'm headed to the door. I'm headed to
It's
the door.
A lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's a lot. It's a lot.
Yeah.
Pastor KL, why do we have to sit through 4 hours of a funeral? Why? Or the people feel like it's disrespectful if they can't hold you up in there like that?
Well, it's a lot. You have to have the concert. You have the opening act. The opening act is the testimony service. Testimony service is the opening act, where they lie and they do all these skits and all this stuff, and the monologues are great. And then you have the concert, which is the choir that can't sing, or the 4 people that get up there that can't sing. So you have to enjoy all of that. And then you have to go through your aerobics because they want you to stand and then sit, then stand and then sit. So you have to go through your exercise of the program as well. And now the preacher has to preach. And then he's all the way in the middle of his sermon, but someone brand new comes in through the door. So he has to start over because you missed a whole lot. You know what I mean? So now he has to start this sermon all over again. And don't let him get a whole lot of amens because you're in agreement to staying even longer. Mm-hmm. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Oh, Shantice, what's your word?
I just want to know, when did it stop being about the dead person? Because if it was about the dead person, this would be a really short funeral. They gone. Ain't too much to say. They ain't here. He was born, laid pipe, and died. Like, how much is there to say? Even for an accomplished person, someone who actually did things with their life, traveled and saw the world and all that. But there was an end to it. So why can't this end? But like Pastor KL said, but then it becomes about the sermon. It becomes about who's invited. Then it becomes about who's preaching. Then you got I've been to funeral. Why is the clergy seated up like it's a church service? You go to church service and it's like the bishop and the pastors. Why? I thought the person we came to see is here in the coffin. Why is everybody up here lined up? When did it become about y'all? And I think that's why it has become so prolonged, because this has just become another stage play. And it's sad because it just really, again, it goes with the titles. Because I got Pastor so-and-so to speak, or because I'm Pastor so and so or Bishop so and so and I'm speaking, then now, you know, this is what it is. Then the program got to be, once there's pages to the program, already they lost me. Like, wait, there's
it's
pages to this. Like, we don't just open and close. Like, we got to turn page. Nah. No, already you got to get somebody up there to read the obituary. Then it seems like they get the person who don't really know how to read that well to read the obituary nowadays. I don't understand. And I'm like, so nobody did a screening. Nobody did the auditions. Who was in charge of choosing who reads the obituary? And it has everything. I don't want to hear nothing about, because I would listen. I was chosen to read the obituary at my grandmother and my great-grandmother's funeral. Two women who were very influential in my life. So I know about the and want to cry during the reading. That ain't got nothing to do with your reading capabilities. Okay, you just don't know how to pronounce these words. All right. Stop choosing that person to read. That helps to prolong, because y'all done all been to funerals where the obituary itself is long.
Yeah.
Now you already reading something that's 5 minutes. Now think about someone who can't read.
Or they get that person who can't read to read the cards.
Why are we reading the cards? Why are we reading the cards? I thought the cards were supposed to go in the wishing well or the gift box or whatever y'all want to call it. Why are we reading cards? See, all these things to prolong. Because see, it's not about the dead person. Because guess what? They can't hear what they wrote. So this is for the family. The family can take those and read them at home. We don't have to sit here in the funeral home or the church and listen to, because so-and-so from North Carolina couldn't make it, so now we're going to read their long card. No! If they couldn't take the time to come or couldn't afford, so sorry. Just send your condolences via the card. Thank God they could afford the card and the stamp, and let that be the phone call that takes place after the repast. Why do we have to be subjected? It's just because it becomes about everyone else besides the deceased. It's about remembering their life. And like Pastor Steph always says, now that they have the number on the other side of that dash, there should be an end to this program. It's just too much. It's too much. We have to stop making it about us. Stop making it about us.
Wait, Pastor Vinny, should they read the cards at the funeral?
No. They shouldn't read the cards. The only thing they should maybe just say who the flowers came from. Sometimes there's a whole garden of plants. And so you want everybody to know that you weren't cheap, that you got a good flower spray, and the teardrop, the rose bush, that maybe. Because listen, the funeral is not for the deceased. The funeral is for the family that is left. You want to show appreciation to the family. But when your funeral program has a table of contents, when your funeral program has a table of contents,
like, what we doing?
You're in for trouble. I look at Brenda. I said, "Sweetie, you got a granola bar?"
Do you have a steak dinner? Forget about the granola bar. Do you have a 5-course steak dinner? Because that's how long we gonna be here. KL. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Pastor.
Go ahead. It's okay.
Pastor KL, should they read the cards at the funeral?
No, I mean, I don't even think they should read the obituary. Not many times I've been at a funeral and you're reading along and you got to pronounce the words for her. You know what I mean? You're like, that's not the word. You know what I mean? Why? No. I listen, just read it to yourself. It's for you to go home with. So, you reflect later on. I don't know, no. And then, you're from the north, but somebody from the south is reading it and you can't understand their accent. Oh no. And then their best friend was African, so now he has to have words. I don't understand you. No, I'm sorry. No, we don't need to do this. I'm already hurt and distraught. Now I gotta translate. No, I'm not doing that.
Wait, but in the obituary, they gotta put every family member name that's left.
Yes.
Which helps to prolong the obituary. Yeah. That's a page by itself in some families.
Not only that, Shantice, I know Thomas as Pookie. So for 2 hours, I'm trying to realize who is Thomas. When did Thomas get in the family? You know what I mean? Did he have an outside son? What happened? So now I'm mad because I think that I'm the only boy. But now we got a Thomas. What Thomas and Pookie? Oh, man.
Yeah, I can't. Rein
it in.
Here's right. And that's what I was going to say, Pastor Vinny. I agree with you. We have gotten to the point where anything goes. This is my funeral, or meaning my funeral, meaning the funeral for my loved one. And, this is what I want to do. And my thing is, but you're not having the funeral and sitting through the funeral alone. And I think it's just too much. I love the fact that you want to salute your family, but there can be too much. It can be too much. Pastor Vinny, what's another too much for you at a funeral?
Well, they have to march in. They have to march in. What's too much is, there's a viewing before the service. Before the service, there's a viewing. So now, why do you need another viewing at the end of the service?
Wow. Okay.
That's what a lot of them have started doing. You give them an hour before the service.
Right.
Do whatever viewing. That's when you have an opportunity to say your personal goodbyes. You can fix your father's tie in the casket, whatever. Sometimes they don't do them right, But after the service, when you say the last benediction, it's time to move the party to the cemetery.
Okay.
It's time to move the party to the cemetery. And say your final goodbyes there. Yeah.
Okay. So Pastor Vinny says one viewing. What'd you say?
Viewing. It's rough enough. It's hard enough on the family.
Yeah. All right, Shantice. What's another? You can leave that out. Or why do we for funeral service?
Oh, well, you already brought up the reading of the cards. I would just say the spontaneous singing. And it's never done by the singers. It's just like, why? Why do you pick now to want to scratch some things off your bucket list? Like, I'm a sing at a funeral. No, you don't sing. You don't sing. And it's always the singers. Now, God done put a song on their heart, but now everybody got to sing. Because you get it. Listen. Ask those who sing. If it's planned or spontaneous. If you join, beautiful. If not, we good. Because this is what we do. We don't need the choir. Because we don't need the choir to drown out the fact that we can't hit these notes. Or they don't know the words. Now, how God put a song on your heart that you don't know the lyrics to? I don't understand. So see how it prolongs? Now it prolongs because now the pianist or the keyboardist got to try to not only follow you being off tune, but the fact that you don't know the words. Now you got to grab your phone, or now you got to get Sister So-and-so to come up and bring her phone. These are things I've watched, and it's just like, stop lying on Jesus. He ain't got nothing to do with this. All right? This is just another way to get me mad. that I'm sitting here and again making it about you. God would not do this because He already know where my mind gonna go. And I know I'm not the only one here thinking like this. It immediately my mind comes off of the deceased and the family to you. It's you can leave that alone. If you are not on the programs, if you're not on one of them pages,
Right.
do not get up and sing. You are just going to make everyone upset.
All righty. We got some comments here. Oh, that's Terrence and Shanti's thing. Serge says the singing could go left out for him. Okay. Pastor KL, what's the other we could do without this?
Well, this is when I almost shot my father. So my oldest brother did that. My oldest brother was a bike rider, a motorcycle rider. My father had the bright idea to prop my oldest brother up on a bike at his funeral.
No.
So
we've seen this.
We're walking around the bike. Now my thing is this.
He did it for real? It was carried out?
My thing is this.
Yes.
Wait. It get better. Because my thing is this. We paid for the box. I want all my money for the box. I want all my time for the box. Why is he on a bike? Why is he on a bike? You know how much a box costs? And I'm not talking about Jesus the carpenter box either. You know how much a box costs? And then after the viewing, they took him off this bike. Mind you, it was his bike, so we didn't have to pay for the bike, and put him in a box. Now, for all this, the motorcycle should have went in the box too. they should all part of like, yeah. To me, and I've been to some funerals where the man is propped up playing a video game because that's what he did. You know, I mean, I think that's ridiculous. Ridiculous.
No. There's a video on right here on this channel that I did years ago. It was in 2016, I believe, of people who literally pay for these people, like what they did while what was on their bucket list. And you found there were people on motorcycles. There was a guy standing up in a boxing ring in the corner, in the boxing ring. There was one who was standing up in the house. They had him propped up in the corner in the house. And I'm gonna tell you something. If I walk up in this place and this person is anywhere other than in the coffin, I'm gone. I'm scary. I ain't nervous. I'm not a fearful person, but I promise you, I am not staying in a place where the body is not laid out in the coffin. It's okay. If I go to turn into the door and I see the dead body anywhere but in the coffin, count Stephanie out. I'm not even signing the book.
Wait, so we can't prop you up on the couch with the iPad?
Listen, you can do what you want to do because I'm dead and I don't know nothing about it. But I promise you,
but that's how everyone remembers you.
I don't care. Just realize what you said.
And we gotta make sure the iPad light is on. So we see on your eyebrows.
We're gonna prop you up and put "It's Due Time" behind you. It's due time.
Right. But that's how everyone remembers her.
This here, I'm telling you, there were people who they had one guy in an ambulance. He was an ambulance driver. He was an EMT. They had him in an ambulance. There was another guy who they had in his police uniform sitting up on his motorcycle. Yeah, there was. How about the one sitting at the table playing dominoes? There was one who was counting. I tell you no lie.
There was one who must have been a drug dealer because he had the chains on and all the money around him.
Right, the guns. There was a bottle he was holding.
Oh yeah, yes.
Go back. There was one. I did a whole video, a separate video on another one where they had the lady sitting up at the table at the repast. and they were partying with her.
Nah.
They said that she was the life of the party. So they had her sitting up at a table, and they were actually in this place dancing and partying. They said because that's how she would want to be remembered. There was another young guy, a Spanish guy. They had sitting up in a chair with his legs crossed with a weed in his mouth. They do all kinds of stuff.
That's demonic.
That's just way that's way too much for me. And if I get to a viewing or a funeral, and this is how you put your family member I'm done. I'm gone. I'm not sitting up in there. I'm not greeting the family. I'm not nothing. I'm gone. Know that Pastor Steph, Stephanie, whoever you called me, that is not my thing.
I have a question. Have you ever went to a funeral and it was so ghetto that all the homeboys went to the coffin and poured a shot of beer in the coffin?
Oh my God.
This is for Baja. This is for Tommy. This is for Pookie.
Wow.
So
you
now
wet up the body.
Not only is he dead, he drowned. He drowned.
This is you didn't wet up the body. That's crazy.
And that expensive coffin. And for no other reason, that's why I be done smacked you up there. You put in on this, and now you pouring liquor in this.
No. This you know what? This is a bit much, and you know what? We are really out of sorts. But please go back into, like I said, go back into this. I also did this channel also did funeral singing. So you get a nice little amusement. I'm gonna post it on my Facebook page when I get a chance. But this funeral thing is way out of line, way out of control, and it is nothing. They just way too long. My due time crew, thank you so much. We pray you have a blessed day.
Thank you.
All right, love you.
Thank you, love you too. All righty. Serge said, "Oh, the whole family." Oh my gosh, the whole family tree too. If we know the person, we should know the family tree. And Anika says, laugh out loud. I went to one where they poured the liquor in the ground with the coffin. A mess, an absolute mess. You know, you want to salute your loved one, and that's definitely understandable. And, you know, as far as you're concerned, you know, this may be your last time to do anything like this. But again, you know, you want people to come and support. And it just becomes too much. It just becomes too much. Now, who says what too much is? It's subjective and relative to who actually is doing the assessing. But, you know, trust me, if one person feels it, many feel it. You know, we've heard things like you shouldn't read the obituary, you shouldn't read the cards that have come in. You know, why this, why that. You know, you have to really assess whether you're doing what everybody else does. You know, because that's what happens over time. You know, things were never that, and that's just in life. Things were just never this way, but compliments of everybody does it like this is why things are done like this. And does it ultimately make sense? Because at the end of the day, what I love about the Bible is there is nothing in that Bible that says they're in heaven. There is nothing in that Bible that says they hear you, see you, can watch over you. No, there is nothing in the Bible. Now, if you are not subscribing to the Bible, if that's not your end all or be all, then I'm okay. Then there's no reason for you and I to talk. However, there is nothing in that word of God. As a matter of fact, There are many things in the Bible that let us know that once the person is gone, all their plans have come to an end. That's what the Bible says. The Bible says the dead know nothing. The Bible says, who can praise you from the grave? Because there's no conscience. So, for those who are supposedly up in heaven, beating the tambourine and singing with the choir and dancing and, playing that keyboard and that piano, and, you want to make sure that you put, somebody on a motorcycle because this is what they did, or you want to put them, this way because that's what they did. The plans have shifted. There's ceased. There's nothing. God says in the word of God says, once they are gone, their plans have ended. So even if that was on their bucket list, to put them on this motorcycle, because that was one of the things that I read when I was doing the video that I'm talking about, it said, well, this person had expressed to his family that he wanted to, ride this motorcycle. And they wanted to make sure that that's what they did when he passed away. Well, guess what? He doesn't know he's on a bicycle, on a motorcycle. So why am I spending? And they pay a lot of money for this, because remember, they've got to actually bend the body. I did a lot of research when I was doing this, and what it takes to get this done is a lot of money. The woman, there's a video, and I think it says the party must go on. And there was a woman, a young lady whose mother passed away. She is sitting at the table, deceased. I think she has a fur coat on, and she has, her beer or her, alcoholic beverage at the table with her. And they are literally dancing. They're part, the repast is going on. The funeral is going on as it was a party, because that's the way she said she wanted to be remembered. That's the way she said she wanted to go down. And I'm not talking to the person who is a non-believer, because you have your belief. I'm talking to those who supposedly subscribe to the Bible. Let's do our digging. Let's not go with tradition. Let's not go with what's on our heart, because even when you do certain things, it's implying X, Y, and Z. It's inferring this. And I think what's happened with us a lot of times is we don't realize that we're a part of that. All we are, I'm just doing this. You may not be doing it for that reason. However, it implies. And, if it's something that's not biblical, then maybe I won't fuss with you, or maybe I just leave you alone. But when it comes to things that the Bible has distinctly spoken about, then yeah, for a believer, I'm going to challenge that. And I don't all the time get into these conversations, but it came up today. And we need to know that, again, there is nothing that says these things biblically. We're going to see them again. It says that when Jesus comes, we're going to be changed in the twinkling of an eye. So I don't have an opportunity to see Shantice, my mother, my uncle, my aunt, my best friend, my next door neighbor, twinkling of an eye. That's like when we blink. We don't, that's done. So when will we have an opportunity to sit and we're going to hug and kiss and greet one another? Because I'm going to tell you something. If you think about it on the flip side. So there are going to be those of us who are going to be looking for those we love. Guess what? If we're resurrected in the same and given a chance to roam around the same way we were when we passed away, there were people who went to their grave shooting it out, gang style and battling and things like that. On sight is what it's going to be. So if you hated me and you shot me, well, guess what? I'm going to be looking to get you back. because that's going to be the frame of mind that we're in. So is God resurrecting to have all of this go on? All is supposed to be going on when God is changing this world, when he's now ready to call an end to all of this. He says there'll be no more weeping, no more wailing. He about to change all of this. But before he do all of this, he's going to allow us to roam this earth and do all this battling. And I'm trying to find my mother, and, because I miss her, and I just want one more hug. Ain't going to be no time for that. Because if it says that we're supposed to meet God, and this is going to be the judgment line, then I think you need to have some other things on your mind other than I miss my mama. So you think about this. Just think about everything in a nutshell and go to the Word of God. Don't listen to what you're being told. Just go to the Word of God. And if the Word of God is not putting a stamp on these things, then that's something that you need to consider that will not happen. And I'm not just talking about funerals and death. I'm talking about anything. A whole lot of things, this world has told us, including preachers, that is supposed to happen. And it's not biblical. I'm trying to figure out what you're talking about. Where'd you get that from? A tradition has a big voice. Don't fall for the okie doke. Check your Word of God. Okay? All right. You've been watching It's Due Time with Pastor Steph. Join us Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. where we discuss matters of the heart, mind, and spirit. As you go through your day, be sure to set your mind on things that are above, not on things that are on earth. They will only serve as a distraction. Remember, prayer changes things. It's Pastor Steph signing off, and I want to thank my Due Time crew for coming through big time. Thank you for hanging out with us and keeping that chat room going. Please do not miss this opportunity to give Christ your life right now. Please do not miss this opportunity to strengthen that relationship in the Lord right now, because later it's not promised to any of us. Until tomorrow, God spares where it's Wow Wednesday. Until then, I love you.